Hi everyone, this is the Crypto Brothers again. We're back. Uh, Today we want to talk a little bit about what's going on with crypto, why we're seeing this sudden spike, and then we'll also just touch on a couple other contributing factors. So I think we're going to start off with Lehigh, if you want to.
Yeah, just a brief history lesson. Kind of as Devin just mentioned, we're seeing this sweet spike in the price of Bitcoin. Austin, I know you did a little bit of research on this. What's going on?
Uh, well, it's kind of interesting. So we've been watching Bitcoin every day, and it's been fun actually seeing it kind of get up close to like 9,000. And I was like, oh, it'd be really cool if this thing hits 10,000 because 10,000 is a big mental barrier whenever it comes to anything. Bitcoin's not an exception to that. And I went to bed that night at it was like 9,100. Woke up and it was 11,000. So it shattered it. It's since recessed back down to 10,637 is where we're at the moment. But it tagged 11,000 twice in the past 2 days. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, that's where
Yeah,
we're at.
a lot of times you do see that ceiling right around 10,000, right? So here's kind of our 10,000 line. And you see, like, for a little bit, it kind of got a little bit closer. Let's zoom in. A little bit closer, a little bit closer, and then once it was able to punch through 10,000, it just there's no stopping it until it got up to 11,000. So yeah, it was really quick. Whoa.
So I was curious as we're researching this is why did it do this? Why did it make this big jump? Um, we know that we've seen in the past that Bitcoin actually has had a positive track record its whole existence. It has these sudden jumps and then it'll come back down, but it will never go back down as far as it had been previously. Um, so last year in like 2018, I believe,
That
or
was last year.
2017, December 2017, whenever we saw Bitcoin at its extreme high, um, it came back down, but it didn't come back down as low as it was in like September of 2017. We've stayed above that spike, um, so it's pretty cool. Now we're seeing this other trend where we're starting to come back up even. It's mimicking what we saw in 2017, but it's doing it at a higher rate. So it's really cool about that, and we'll talk about this in a second. What that means of where could this take us?
So yeah, kind of going back to what you're talking about here, I got pulled up is that spike. Let's scoot this along. Here we go. Here's that spike. Oh, sorry, wrong year. That you were talking about. And so here we're looking down here. It's 6,000 and it just kept going. Here's 10,000. There's a little dip down, below 10,000 again. Then it gets to 11,000, 12,000, and then it just skyrocketed, right? We got to what, close to 20. I don't think it ever quite hit 20 on most markets, but it definitely got close to it before coming way, way, way back down to earth. So now taking the same time frame, kind of moving all the way over to where we're at now, you see that gradual period right before it starts getting out of control. You have here where it hit 8,000, came back down to 7,000 and recovered. And then another spike up to about 9,000, drops back down and then recovers. So now we're seeing that same spike again to 11,000. It's coming back down. But based on recent trends, there's no reason to not expect it to recover shortly.
Devin, do you remember whenever 2017 when that shot off? Do you remember like what was going on in the news, what people were talking about during that time?
I can't, no.
Oh man, I remember like that year was the first time I was introduced into cryptocurrency actually by Lehigh. Ethereum was the first one I was introduced to, and it was at 320 when I first got into it, and I honestly hadn't had a big knowledge of it. But then the media started picking up on it as cryptocurrency started to take off in around was it October, November ish. Um, and so what's interesting is now we're seeing that the prices are going up again, and you're starting to see more momentum coming behind Bitcoin again by the media. Um, so what's cool about that, what could happen with the market, is that this has had a kind of a natural growth going up to this 11,000 mark, where there hasn't been a big media push behind it. Everyone's kind of forgotten. But now that it's over this mark again, there's this phrase FOMO, a fear of missing out. Now that there's a positive track record and everyone who's talking about Bitcoin actually has a very optimistic outlook, we're going to see a big push of the media talking about Bitcoin again. So now that this natural rise is going to be inflated by a bunch of people jumping into cryptocurrency again. So there's a good chance this thing could take off past its last record of 20K.
I think there's a lot that's changed in the past year and a half since that spike too. I mean, everyone was talking about how, crypto or Bitcoin is this bubble, right? The bubble's going to pop and that's going to be it. And honestly, the bubble did pop, right? We went from 20,000 down to 3,000 at its lowest point. But I think what people don't realize is that the housing market was also a bubble that popped, right? .com bubble popped, but they all recovered, right? Just because these bubbles pop doesn't mean it's like, well, that's done. No one's gonna buy houses anymore. So this is still a technology that's still being worked on. It's still improving all the time. So yeah, you can definitely consider this right here, the Bitcoin bubble popping, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to recover. And we can see that now as more and more companies accept Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, whether it's, Bitcoin or some other altcoin. You see, Facebook now coming out with their own cryptocurrency and things like that. As it's just becoming more widely accepted, it's slowly gaining back that popularity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something that I read. A lot of countries were really pushing back against all the Bitcoins and different coins because there was no real big name behind it. But after Facebook went ahead and announced that they would be launching their own coin, then a lot of these countries are saying, you know what, we got a big name like Facebook. So maybe there is a little bit of validity to these coins and maybe they're not going away anytime soon. So they're starting to lift their bans or stop pushing back against them as hard as they were in the past. We saw that really bad in early 2018, like in February, back when we had that 50% drop. That's when a whole lot of these countries came in and said, you know what, we don't feel like this is a good thing for our people. And so they were putting heavy regulations or completely banning cryptocurrency altogether. But we're starting to see other countries lifting those bans.
Great. So something that's interesting is since last year, I'm located in Salt Lake City, Utah, and just driving down the freeway, I now see a bunch of companies popping up that they are now cryptocurrency companies where that's their whole business is they manage coins. So it looks like there's more infrastructure, or it's more accepted in our culture to deal with these cryptocurrencies. So it feels like there's more of a solid foundation for crypto to continue to grow upon.
And one thing I kind of noticed, kind of going back to maybe potentially one of the causes of this newfound growth, is trouble with the stock market. I don't know if you guys remember recently in the news, but we're apparently in a trade war with China, right? And everyone's kind of scared of what President Trump might do or not do when it comes to trading with China. And you can see in the S&P 500, right, that caused this dip. I remember, talking about this at work with my coworkers almost daily of how, how's the stock market do it? Is it still falling? So on and so forth. And this is kind of around the same time that we saw Bitcoin kind of gain strength. And I think part of the cause of the popularity in Bitcoin was in reaction to this. And obviously a lot of the people trading stocks aren't the same people trading cryptocurrency. But I do think people were looking for alternative means of investment when this started kind of tanking.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting about cryptocurrency in general is that it's not locked into one country. No one has ownership over a cryptocurrency. Um, and so, yeah, it's the you can buy a Bitcoin in any country. Might not be legal in that country yet, but it's everywhere. No one owns it. So whenever a stock market's dropping in one country, it can be thriving in another. And a common way to exchange goods or exchange money between those countries is through a non-centralized currency like Bitcoin.
Yeah,
But what's it? Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna point out to what I was saying right here. You have May, right? Here's May, here's June, and you see it was a strong month for Bitcoin. And go over S&P 500. It wasn't the greatest month, right? And I think I don't think those things are necessarily unrelated.
Great. Devin, what have we been seeing with the other cryptocurrencies?
They're all following suit. Some of them not quite as strong, but everything is raising. Uh, you know, cryptocurrency tends to follow Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the largest, but you are seeing them rising up a little bit. You know, it's something that I just noticed that is kind of interesting. People are very down on cryptocurrency because we saw that huge spike and then fall. But right now, Bitcoin is the highest it's ever been, except for only 2.5 months of 2000 between 2017 2018. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's kind of giving people that have money in Bitcoin hope that it is on the rise. But we think of Bitcoin as being something that went so high and then it just dropped. The bottom completely fell out. But it really only went high for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it kind of had a trampoline effect where it shot up really high, and when it came down, it hit the tramp and actually it had to bend down a little bit. But then it came back up and it leveled itself back out again. And actually, it didn't take too long for it to level itself back out. It was only a few months, and then ever since then, it's had steady growth. I mean, it goes up and down, but it's not super volatile. Go ahead.
Exactly. Remember in July of 2017, right before it started hitting that major climb, it was at 4,000. And then when it hit the lowest in, what was that, October of 2018, it was still just right around that $4,000 mark. So I guess.
Yeah, look at the difference in the charts between. So here's the lifetime of Bitcoin, right? You see this spike, and you see how far it comes down, and it's like, oh my gosh, like it died. But just compare the last year and a half of Bitcoin, and it's like, well, that little spike, isn't as big as it looks when you're comparing it to when Bitcoin was under $1. Yeah, it came down and it hurt, but if you see the recovery is what, about half? We're about halfway there. I don't know. I think it's doing all right.
Yeah. All right, guys, we have just 2 minutes left. Let's wrap this recording up let's sum up with what we talked about. So go ahead, Lehigh. You want to start that off?
Well, in summary, I'd say Bitcoin not dead. It's doing well so far, and just based on recent trends, I think we can expect it to continue to grow.
Yeah. And in bigger news, we're back. So hopefully we'll be making more videos. We tend to make more videos when interesting things are happening with crypto, but right now is a nice time to be following cryptocurrency.
Yeah. Echoing that, we've still seen a steady flow of people subscribing to the channel. Our excitement definitely is there. We are invested in cryptocurrency, so when it comes up, we get excited too, and we're excited whenever we see you guys follow. So please follow, and we'll continue generating these videos, giving reports and updates on how we're doing as well with cryptocurrency.
I'd also like to just throw in, if there's anything that the listeners, viewers would like to know more about, please leave a comment. We're definitely open to requests on different things to learn about as far as cryptocurrency and investments. So if there's something that you want to know more about, we'll be happy to go out and research that for you and do a video. Let us know in the comments.
Cool. Thanks, guys.